Okay, so let's get right into it. We're looking at two huge clashing ideas about AI's place in our schools, and one of them kicks off with a pretty wild premise. What if a school had no teachers? Not some sci-fi movie plot, but something that's actually happening. And that's the debate we're diving into today.
Yeah, that headline, an AI school with no teachers, it came from a group called Alpha School, and you can bet it sent some serious shockwaves through the education world. I mean, an AI school? It sounds totally out there, right? But it's forcing all of us to ask some really fundamental questions, like, what's the whole point of school anyway?
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the Alpha School model. Then, we'll check out Professor Barry's very different AI tools. We'll put these two visions side by side, and then wrap up by thinking about what this all means for the future of teaching.
All right, so it really all boils down to this one huge question. Is AI a replacement for the classroom, or is it a tool to make the human teacher even better? The way we answer that is going to change everything for students, for teachers, for all of us. And that's the tension at the heart of this whole thing. Okay, so let's jump into the first big idea, the Alpha School model. And look, these guys aren't just trying to tweak the current system. No, their whole thing is that the system is broken beyond repair. They want to tear it down and rebuild it from scratch, putting AI right at the center of it all.
Wow, I mean, this quote from Alpha's founder really says it all, doesn't it? A teacher in front of a classroom is the worst way to teach kids. Their argument is that this old school, one-size-fits-all model just doesn't work. You know, one teacher, 30 kids, all learning at different speeds, they see it as super inefficient. And they think AI is the tool that finally lets us break out of that.
And you can really see that difference here. The traditional model is all about seat time, right? You spend a year on a subject. Alpha's model is totally different. It's mastery-based. You don't move on until you actually get it. And here's the kicker. An AI tutor is the one doing the teaching for academics, not a person. That simple switch frees up a massive chunk of the day for what they call life skills.
So what's a day at Alpha actually like? Well, it starts with something called a limitless launch, which is all about getting into a growth mindset. Then it's a super focused 2-hour academic block. Every kid is working one-on-one with their own AI tutor. After a break for lunch, the whole rest of the day, the entire afternoon, is for hands-on workshops on real-world stuff, like how to launch a business or learn to code.
Just 2 hours. Think about that. Alpha claims their AI tutors are so efficient that a student can get through all of 5th grade math in like 20 to 30 hours. Compare that to the 180 days in a normal school year. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What would you do with all that extra time?
Well, this is the answer. They spend that time on things that schools usually don't teach. We're talking leadership, financial smarts, public speaking, real life skills. In one project, for instance, kids had to come up with a business plan for an app, pitch it to actual entrepreneurs, and get this, even go out and practice dealing with rejection by asking stores for freebies. The whole goal, in the words of one of their students, is to create self-driven, motivated creators.
So if the AI is teaching, what are the humans doing? Well, their role totally shifts. They're not even called teachers, they're guides. They're not there to explain math problems or diagram sentences. The AI's got that covered. Instead, their entire job is about connecting with the kids, giving them that emotional support and being their motivational coach. Alpha says that's what really matters for learning. Okay, so that's one vision. Now let's flip the coin completely and look at a totally different take on AI in education. This one comes from Professor Miles Barry. His idea isn't to replace the teacher at all. In fact, it's the opposite. He thinks AI's best use is to help make human teachers even better at what they do.
The core of Professor Barry's work is this concept he calls digital approximations of practice. The best way to think about it is like a flight simulator, but for teachers. It's about using AI to create these safe, low-stakes environments where teachers can practice the really tough parts of their job, handling a disruptive student or planning a complex lesson, before they have to do it for real with 30 kids watching.
And these aren't just theories. He's actually building these things. There's an AI that acts like a coach, reviewing a lesson plan and giving tips. He's got a simulator for classroom management that's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure game for dealing with tough situations. The focus is 100% on the teacher, using AI as a sparring partner to sharpen their skills.
And this quote right here, it really nails his biggest worry. Memory is the residue of thought. His point is, if you just let the machine do all the hard thinking for you, like planning a lesson, then you, the teacher, don't actually learn anything. You're not building your own expertise. And his fear is that the actual craft of being a great teacher could just disappear.
So to put it simply, in Professor Barry's world, AI is a servant to the teacher. It's a tool for practice, for getting feedback, for getting better. It's all about making human teachers into even stronger experts because in his view, a great human teacher is something you can't and shouldn't replace.
All right, so here we are, two totally competing visions for AI's future in school. One says AI should be the teacher, the other says AI should be the teacher's coach. One wants to break apart the job of a teacher, the other wants to build it up. It's a real fork in the road.
This chart lays it out pretty clearly. At Alpha School, the AI is for the student. In Barry's model, it's for the teacher. At Alpha, the AI is the instructor. For Barry, it's a coach. This changes the human's job from a guide to an expert, and their goals? Totally different. Alpha wants to free up time for life skills. Barry wants to perfect the craft of teaching.
But here's where Professor Barry raises a really serious red flag. And it's not just about teaching methods, it's about fairness. Right now, Alpha School is a super expensive private school. But he's worried about a future where this kind of AI-driven, automated education becomes the cheap standard option for most kids, while having a real, live, expert human teacher becomes a luxury that only the wealthiest families can afford.
So, where does that leave us? Instead of trying to declare a winner between these two, let's see what we can learn by putting them together. What are the big, important questions that this whole debate raises for the future of education?
From Alpha, we get this really challenging question. Are our schools doing enough to teach those real-world life skills? You know, giving kids more control over their own learning. It's a powerful point. But then you have the warning from Professor Barry. As we bring in all this amazing AI, how do we make sure we don't accidentally weaken the skills of the very teachers we need to guide our children?
You see, in the end, this isn't really a conversation about AI replacing teachers. It's about redefining what it means to be a teacher in this new world. It forces us to get really honest about which parts of the job a machine can do and maybe even should do. And if that happens, it means the truly human parts, the mentoring, the inspiring, that personal connection, become more important than ever before.
And so it all comes down to this one last huge question. What is the true purpose of a teacher? Is it just to deliver information, something an AI can probably do pretty well? Or is it to be a mentor, a coach, an inspiration? How we answer that question isn't just an academic exercise. It's going to shape the future of our schools and really the future of our kids.